I will tell you a very ancient story from the land that is now called Tibet. Way up in the mountains of Tibet there was a little valley with a thin layer of soil at the base of the valley which was worked over by a farmer and his wife. And after one particularly fierce, cruel winter, their horse died. And the farmer had no way to plough his single field ready for the spring harvest. Well, this was potentially a fatal situation because they needed to get a crop in early in order for there to be a chance for it to grow. So as soon as the roads were cleared, the farmer went down into a nearby village to buy a new horse. And he went over to Honest Joe's horse emporium and he said, "Honest Joe, I need a steed to pull my plough." And Honest Joe said, "Got a bit of a problem. It's been a very bad winter. The horse harvest is down. And a lot of people have lost their horses and I'm sold out. I've got no horses in." "No, says the farmer. "You must have something, some old nag or some young filly. I really need a horse to pull my plough. Can't help it." "Well, maybe I can help her," says Honest Joe. "I have, out the back, the very latest thing. I've got a yak. An all-weather yak. This yak, however cold or cruel the winter gets, this yak will keep going, keep ploughing your field." "Oh, that sounds brilliant," says the farmer. "Show me this wonderful..." around the back of his house. And there is the yak. And it's got the biggest hair you ever did see. The hair is out to here on the yak and it's sort of wafting in the breeze as the yak struts vacantly around the yard. And the farmer bursts out laughing because it's very ridiculous 70s fashions that the yak's sporting. But he has no choice, so he pays Honest Joe and he takes the yak and he leads it back to his farm. And night has almost fallen when he gets back to his farm, but he can't wait. He has to try out this wonderful creature that he's paid a lot of money for. So he sets his plough in the earth, he strings the yak up to it, he gives the yak that special little squeeze that you have to give yaks in order to start them moving. And the yak takes 2 paces forward. And then it swerves to the right. And then it takes 1 pace forward. And then it swerves to the right again, and then it collapses in a heap on the ground. The farmer's a bit disappointed at this. He picks the yak up, sets it back where he wants the furrow to be, sets the plough behind it, makes sure it's roped up tightly, gives the squeeze, and the yak's off, more purposeful this time, 2 paces forward. But then the twirl to the right, and then 1 pace forward, another twirl to the right, and the yak collapses in the dust. And the farmer is furious. He's been sold some waste, he's been had. All that night, through supper, he sits there glaring into his stew. And his wife is she's a bit worried for him, because he's not a very angry person, and clearly he's in a rage. So when he's finished eating, she lays her hands on him and she says, "Husband, come to bed, and I will give you comfort." And she did. And he did. And they did. And they did again. And they worked through a lot of the wonderful sex manuals of the people of that era. And I mean to labour this point because I don't believe that either of them slept a wink all night. And the next morning, as the sun is already up in the sky, the farmer starts walking, a little sore and a little bow-legged, down the road back into the village. And he's smiling, this slightly idiotic smile that he can't quite get rid of. But he goes up to Honest Joe's, he's got the yak behind him, and he says, "Honest Joe, I have a bone to pick with you." And he explains that this yak keeps on spinning around and falling over, and Honest Joe accuses the farmer of mocking him. "I can't believe you're properly angry," says Honest Joe. "I can't believe you've got any legitimate complaint, because you won't stop grinning." "Well, the reason I won't stop grinning," explains the farmer, "is because last night something very special happened between me and my wife, but it's got nothing to do with this creature here that I want a refund for." "Oh, that's where you're wrong," says Honest Joe. "It is precisely because of this magical animal that you and your wife had such a wonderful evening last night. Because is this not an aphrodisiac?"